Hello and welcome to Bloke on the Range. We've had a couple of people ask us for a small treatise on diopter rear sights. So I've got three particular examples here, and so let's bring the camera in close and have a look at them. Right, so what we've got here on this deliciously chintzy tablecloth is a Parker-Hale 5C for a Lee-Enfield No.4. We've got a W+F K-diopter for a Schmidt-Rubin K31, and we've got an ultra-modern RPA Trakker to go on, well, pretty much anything you want it to, really. Now, what I find interesting about these is how the type of shooting that was dominant in driving the development of these sights is reflected in the design. This one, for instance, is typically European. This is clearly an updated version of this, and we'll get into that in a few more details in a moment. And yeah, I just want to get a bit philosophical about how that's reflected. Now, if we start with the K-diopter here. Now, it's designed specifically for one type of shooting at one range, really. Not a massive number of ranges, at least. Maybe 300 typically, and then maybe the odd historical shoot at 200 or something. Now, this is an extremely robust sight. It's got a lovely clamp that goes onto the side of the rifle, and all the adjustment is internal. So you can drop this on the adjustments, and it's not going to break. It's really, really robust. However, you can't dial in a sight setting on it. There's a scale, but it's so bad that it's useless. It's unfunctional. In fact, this one, if I put this back on the rifle, it almost certainly won't shoot straight, because what typically is the case with these is that the windage zero mark is absolutely miles off. It's basically a complete work of fiction. You can forget it. The drums are numbered. That means nothing. Now, what's common to all of these is that you've got an adapter for some kind of iris or 6-position. Let's see, this one here has a 6-hole. If we can get enough light in here, maybe, so that you can adjust for the amount of light. This has in fact, both of these have an iris, which is infinitely adjustable, which is much better. Now, this represents the design philosophy of most Continental, I'll just put a little asterisk there, Continental type sights. To do with the asterisk, well, we're talking sort of German sights. We're talking about shooting at a single distance, or maybe a couple of different distances that aren't very far apart, say 100, 200, 300, aren't going to need a lot of clicks. So that basically when changing distances, you can probably get away with just counting the number of clicks. However, the British sights are predicated on shooting at a vast number of distances. For instance, this Parker-Hale 5C is intended for anything from 200 to 1200 yards. Now, to go into a bit of history, what the dominant discipline was in British shooting at the time of the development of this sight was called Service Rifle B, SRB. You had Service Rifle A, which was as issued, so using the issued sights, and Service Rifle B, where you were allowed certain modifications to the bedding, like centre bedding a No.4 or packing an SMLE, and you could put target rear sights on it. You were still shooting with a blade foresight. And this was at various distances, typically 200, 300 at the start. I can't remember off the top of my head what the shortest distance was, up to 1000, but the possibilities existed up to 1200. So the sights scaled there with a bullet drop compensator. However, this was typically just used as a guideline, and on this side you have a vernier scale. Let's just bring that in close here. You have a vernier scale like on a caliper. So by looking at this, we can see that it reads, what is it? Just shy of 5 minutes of elevation. So let's just, yeah. By clicking it one either way, you can see that it's 4.5 minutes of angle of elevation. Now, in British shooting, all thinking is done in minutes of angle. We don't think about number of inches on the target. We don't back calculate that. With the modern targets, as a basic rule, the bullseye is 2 minutes across, plus minus depending on the range you're shooting at, and everything's thought of in these terms. And you have notes, and you write down for any given ammunition what your elevation setting at a certain distance is. This is important because you've typically only got 2 sighters. So let's say I'm shooting at 600 yards. I know that I need to be at 19 minutes to start with on this scale. So rather than just whacking it on 6 there, I'd know that actually I want to be a minute lower, because 6 on this sight matches up with 20 minutes. But let's say I know I need to be 19, and these are half-minute clicks on this sight. It's also hyper important with the windage. You need to know for an absolute fact that 0 is where it is, because at 1,000 yards you might be blowing a bit from the left, and I know, ooh, I'm going to need 8 minutes of wind on here, so I'm going to wind that across until I read 8. So 5, 6, 7, 8. So here we know we're on the left. Oh, sorry, there's the camera. Here we know we're on going left, and it's the third line to the left of 0 that matches up, and we're past 5, so that makes 5 plus 3 equals 8. You need to know this for an absolute fact, because at long distance at 1,000 yards you get a wind change wrong and you can be on the next target frame, which is less than amusing. Now, in continental type shooting, this isn't anywhere near as important. As for instance, this is intended for use at 300 meters. Shoots a pretty heavy bullet. We tend not to worry about the wind too much. Switzerland isn't as windy as the UK in general anyway. So we tend to just start with whatever setting we were on last time. Maybe we'll go, oh, actually I was on a different range. Yeah, that one was a bit shorter, so I probably want to come up a couple of clicks. Now what's interesting here is that German clicks go backwards. So what we've got written here, that's left and right, sorry, let's go up and down. What we've got here is bei, and T, and H. And T means low, tief, H means high, hoch. So if you're high, you turn it towards H. Don't know why they decided to do it like that. It seems totally illogical to me. So, I want to come down to 3, let's say 3 clicks. So I want to be as if I'm high. You also have to think twice about this. It's really annoying. The other thing is that these are not scaled in minutes of angle or anything. They're scaled in principle, these are 2 centimeters per click at 300 meters. I'm not entirely convinced. I have a suspicion they're a little bit more than that, but one day I'll go and work it out. I'll go and shoot some groups and calculate it. Now, this kind of principle is in all sorts of German designed target sights, and I'll put some pictures up of a Walther one, a Hammerly one, and an Anschutz one. And the Anschutz one has a slightly better ballistic drop compensation scale, but it's still about as much use as a chocolate teapot. You're going to be counting clicks. But if you're only ever shooting at 1 or 2 ranges that are close together, it doesn't really matter that much. As for robustness, a lot of the German sights, the ones that I've put up there, some of them have got partly external, partly internal adjustment. Some of them are all external, but they tend to be with very limited adjustment. I mean, if you look at how much elevation adjustment potential I've got on that compared to, well, I've got the thick end of 1 inch on this side, and this one might actually go quite a lot below 0 here. So I've got 60 plus minutes of adjustment on this site here. Yeah, not really much good. Now, there's a viewer who posts on the Army Rumour Service who likes to get on my case saying, oh, well, it doesn't matter if you've got unlimited sighters. Well, unlimited sighters don't do you any good at 1,000 yards. Because you haven't got time. The way the British shooting is done of the dominant discipline, which is now target rifle, what developed out of service rifle B, you've got typically 3 people shooting on a firing point. 1, 2, 3. He shoots first. Bang. According to the rule book, he's got 90 seconds for a shot. The target's pulled down. It's put back up with a marker on it. He then writes down in a notebook where the shot position is. He does several graphs. This guy's then shooting. He's got 90 seconds maximum. Target goes down, target goes up. This guy shoots. And then you go around like that. You can't just sit there and wait for the wind to be as you'd like it. You have to deal with it. Now, as an example, let's take the modern one, which basically, in principle, it's exactly the same as this probably 1950s Parker-Hale. Let's say I'm at 1,000 yards. I've got 10 minutes of wind. It's blowing a bit of a howler. Let's say I've got 10 minutes of wind on. And while I'm waiting to shoot, I notice it's dropped right off. It's dropped right back. And oh, it's only 2 now. Now, I'm not going to count clicks. This is a 4 click per minute sight. So 8 clicks, 8 fours are 32. I'm not going to count 32 clicks. I'm just going to look at it and just go, just crank it back until it reads 2, which is there. And then hopefully it's not going to change before I fire my shot, but if it does, I'll wind it some more. And just thinking back to my nastiest long-range shoot ever, we were going from sort of 6 to 9 minutes left of wind to sort of 4 to 8 right. So we were cranking these back and forth the whole time. And if you got it wrong, you missed the wind change, you were on your neighbour's target. And in fact, someone shooting nearby me did do that. Now, at Bloke on the range, we like ergonomics. So here's an interesting ergonomic conundrum. Why on earth is the windage knob on the left on the K-diopter? And this is not uncommon on German diopters. I think the answer is that it's manufacturing convenience, design convenience, and there's no anticipation that you're going to be sitting there the whole time. Oh, wind's picked up. Well, I'm going to give that another 2. No. Oh, come on, neighbour, shoot. No, it's picked up again. Another minute. What are we on now? Ooh, that's like 3.5. Ooh, flag's gone up. Flag's gone. Flag. Ooh. No, well, let's put it up to 5. Okay, my time to shoot. Quick, bang. And this is what you're basically doing the whole time, cranking this back and forth at long range. Now, what's interesting, I had a quick look around on the intertubes and found a Norwegian site. I'll put a picture of it in the corner. That in principle is similar to these British ones. Quite a large range of adjustment, but no vernier scale. Now, if any Norwegian commenters can explain to me what sort of shooting this is for, because the only type of Norwegian shooting I really know about is the stangskidning, from watching various videos on that. And yeah, having grown up with vernier scales and knowing that I can dial in whatever I want, I can't imagine not having a vernier scale for doing any serious target shooting at various ranges. I deal with it in Switzerland because, well, this is normal and we don't worry about wind too much because it's not normally that much of a problem. I did actually mount this on a Schmidt-Rubin G11 as well, which was got some funny looks because it's a very unusual sight for the Continentals. A few interesting design choices. Advantage of this is it's very robust. There's a spring that pushes the diopter up against the 2 adjustment screws. These are a little less robust and sometimes need a little adjustment. This one you can adjust it very easily. There's a wheel on the side, and in fact you can free it up totally and just slide, he says, and take 3. You can slide it up and down and then tighten it up, and you can lock it down solid. But if you need to make an adjustment, it needs to be loose a little, so you tend to leave them a little loose. This one occasionally needs adjusting. There's a little bearing in there and 3 grub screws, and every so often, if this starts to get loose, you just have to fiddle with the grub screws there to tighten it back up again. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, please consider supporting us on Patreon, which allows us to continue to bring you, hopefully, ever better content here on Bloke on the Range, and I hope to see you again on the range sometime. Bye!